Okay, so we'll start off nice and easy.
Let's.
Do you want to introduce yourself for us, please?
My name's Ben Taylor. And this year I've been racing in the Mini Challenge Trophy class.
We can still change tyres and by running for the next hour. So we can always change them. It's just
you're not committed to whatever.
I've always wanted to get into racing in the sense that my dad was involved in sort of a semi-professional race team back in the 80s. I've just always been into cars, grew up around cars. Probably came to racing late just because of budget more than anything else. So I've been in business for a while. We've had our tough times and we had a good run, and I thought, you know, now's the time to go and give this a go. Let's try and live out the childhood fantasy. I've always enjoyed watching racing, going to it, being involved in it in any capacity really, but I think you can't be that on track. There's nothing like going into turn one at the start of a race, inches apart from the car next to you. Just the buzz, the adrenaline and the challenge of that is probably the biggest appeal. Heading into the weekend, I think Directors' Cup was always a goal. We were 2 points off the lead in what is in reality a relatively small class this season, albeit it was a tight one. As much as anything else, I had a lot of guests there at the weekend. I couldn't be doing what I've been doing without the support of sponsors and partners, as well as friends, family, my fiance. And they've shown an awful lot of trust and faith in me. It's not like I had any pedigree coming into this. So for them to be able to show that support and for me to be able to give them something back by way of a championship, or albeit a class championship in this season, would mean everything, you know, really reward their support and loyalty, and also the satisfaction for me of being able to say, hey, we've turned up, we've had 2 years of this and we've come away having won something. It's massive. Whenever there's a wet qualifying or a wet race, it's a leveller, and I think I would see it, and I think a lot of drivers who maybe are not quite consistently in that top 8, top 10 drivers probably see it as an opportunity to nick a result, if you like, level the playing field a little bit more. So for me, it's always good news.
Good on then, have fun out there. Thank you, mate. Best quality of the year.
So the qualifying that weekend was the best I've had in the 2 seasons I've had in Mini Challenge. I think to qualify P10 in the top 10 as I did, and to be putting those lap times in throughout the session quite consistently was massive for me, and it was a big confidence boost as well, because you know you do question at times where you should be on the grid. And so to be able to come in from that, having qualified best one of the year in what were quite tricky conditions, was was really good.
It's a bit better.
how did that feel?
Oh, I like these conditions. Yeah. Car's good. Car felt really nice controllable.
Okay.
Nothing. It wasn't trying to kill me at any
Was it
point.
very big understeer or?
We could probably wind a little bit more oversteering,
Yeah.
but not a huge amount.
Heading into the first race, talk us through how that first race went.
Race 1 was an interesting race in the end for me. We were lining up 12th. Although we qualified 10th, there's a format in the series that says it's your second best time that dictates where you start for race 1. Still, P12 was largely as high as I've been all season. It is very competitive up there, and on a circuit like Brands Hatch Indy where it's tight, you know it's going to be a busy first couple of laps.
First race of the weekend for the Virtue Mini Challenge Trophy category gets underway.
I made a decent start. I think I maintained my position, but there was a crash at turn 1 and it meant the race got red flagged.
The first 3 have got away. Big thump off the curb there for Harry Hickton in 3rd place, and another car goes spinning around there. Now, who is that?
Which was lucky because at turn 3 I got pushed off the circuit myself by another car. So I got a bit of a reprieve from that, and it meant, because we hadn't completed a full racing lap, you go back to your original grid position. So it did mean that we got another go at it. It's that waiting. You get told through your headphones in the radio by race control, there's a one-way link that we have, that the drivers are all okay, there's nothing to be worried about, we're just going to wait for the clear up and then we'll get going again. But you're strapped in, you're on your own, sat on the grid, just waiting. There's no mechanics, there's no race team members, nobody around you. You're just sat waiting, knowing that when the board comes out, you're going to get 1 lap to warm your tyres up and you've got to go again. And that's a bit of a weird environment to be in, because you never quite know how long you're waiting. You do get updates, so it'll be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We're expecting this to be a quick turnaround or whatever that might be. But to have to sit there completely on your own while that's all going on, it can be quite difficult to maintain focus. But we got going again. I made a better start in the second attempt of the race. We got round 1 full lap with no incidents. Battling into turn 2 on the second lap of the race. Unfortunately, the driver behind me got collected by the driver behind him, pushing him into me and me into the tyre barrier, and that was race 1 over.
The number 86 car of Ben Taylor, and I think that's going to be another stoppage. Ben Taylor is off.
Are you joking?
When you know you're going to hit the wall, there is an element of you've got to brace for it. I think if you've been driving race cars long enough, and I haven't been that long, you will have had some crashes, right? And you know that they're well built, the safety equipment now is very good, and you might be a bit sore, but the chances are you're not really going to be badly hurt. So I don't think you fear for your safety, but as someone who races on a budget, to a budget, the biggest thing is this is going to be expensive, this is going to cost money to put this right, and I think especially that weekend with all the guests that were due to come on Sunday, bearing in mind that race 1 is run on Saturday afternoon, the guests were mostly there for Sunday, you think, I hope this car's going to be repairable because we've got to be out tomorrow. It was a big hit, to be fair, and it felt like it would have been a lot worse than it turned out to be. When it comes to racing, it's never seen as bad as it would be if it was a road car, if that makes sense. So I'm going to list a lot of things that make it sound like it's bad, but it was a bonnet, it was a few suspension components, some drop links, there was an A panel in there, some other bits of trim and bodywork. But broadly, the main thing was that the chassis itself was completely undamaged. It was just superficial panels that needed to be replaced and a little bit of suspension components that you can take off and just simply replaced with a new one.
Corners in front of both of us will get into a new side of the north, so she just like brakes on that. I've gone left a bit down the outside along the curve,
come back in with the result turned in. Just amazing.
The team, when you've had an accident, are absolutely essential this season, and in 2023 is Accelerate Motorsport. I've watched them rebuild cars over this season and last that you would think would never be back out for a race a matter of a couple of hours later. And I think there's so many things to consider. They know these cars inside out. I have a number one mechanic that knows me and my car quite specifically, but it's the availability of parts, tools, knowledge, and the fact that sometimes you can have 3-4 people all working on a car to get it turned around in time. You couldn't do that without them, and it's not the sort of thing you can just get anybody to do, right? Because the other thing is, it's all well and good getting the car turned around, getting it back out on the track, but you've got to know that the wheels aren't going to fall off the moment you start to go into the first sort of braking zone. So, yeah, essential, and you need trust as well that they're going to do the job and they're going to do it well. To have the sponsors at an event like Brands Hatch is perfect, because even though it's late in the year, we can look after them in hospitality. They get the best view of the circuit. The beautiful thing about Brands Hatch, better than probably any track in the country, especially the Indy Loop, is that from certain vantage points you can see 95% of the lap. So it's a brilliant spectator experience for them. They get treated like VIPs, and actually it's a really nice way of giving back, but also involving them in what I'm doing and what the racing community is, because I think sometimes it can feel a bit closed off. They can come down, they get involved in the garage, they come down into the paddock, they're looking at the work that's going on the cars as well. So it's really good to have them there, and I couldn't do what I do and what I have been doing without that support. Financially, it is too much. So to have the sponsors come along in person, bring their guests, their friends and family is really, really massive for us. After Saturday, I'd actually gone from being 2 points behind in the Directors' Cup to 13 points ahead due to a rule in the championship called drop scores, which basically says you, at the end of the season, your cumulative points total will have your 2 worst results deducted from it. Unfortunately for him, Paul was one of the cars involved in the turn 1 incident at the first race start, and he didn't manage to get back out for the restart of that race. What that meant was that after drop scores, actually he'd scored 0 and I'd had 15 points put back on my total that had previously been lost. So in the end, I actually leapfrogged him, despite us both not making it around more than 2 laps. So it definitely relieved that pressure, because there wasn't so much of a concern about, oh, we have to finish these races. I need to be conservative with my moves and my defending of positions. Having said that, we had an awful lot of people there, guests, sponsors, family, friends, who all wanted me to do well. And to be honest with you, I think irrespective of championships, I go racing for the enjoyment and for the fun of doing it first and foremost, and I wasn't just going to turn up and sort of trundle around just to get to the end. I wanted to go and race the cars around me and you know, try and get some more points on the board and get my best result of the year. The morning race on Sunday was pretty good, I think. Unfortunately, because we didn't finish race 1, that meant that we were starting race 2 towards the back, 21st position, which isn't where I would have wanted to have been. And I think on pace, I ought to have been, and I would have been further forward. So in many ways, they can be quite fun races, because there's no real pressure to deliver a massive result from basically the back. But you also know that, in theory at least, there's a whole bunch of cars in front of you that you're quicker than, which means that you can go out and you can attack without too much fear of having to defend or being overtaken by the cars that are behind. So I had really good fun. You know, we made 5 places in that race from 21st on the grid, which isn't bad going, and had some good fun racing the cars that are around us. that was just one which was all for the fun. We liked it, you know, we had a good battle with a couple of other cars as well, and crucially as well, the people who came enjoyed watching it as well as much as I did driving it. Last race of the weekend at Brands Hatch is where you start based on your best qualifying time. That meant starting back in top 10, which is as high as I've been all year from a starting position. And I must admit there is a little bit of nervousness about that.
Go get him. You qualified here in the dry. You're as fast as any of these. Make sure you give it your best shot. You've got 2 new, better than anyone else here. Yeah. Use them. Yeah. Thank you, mate. Thank you for this year. No worries. Appreciate it. Let's go get him.
The racing is competitive and robust right the way through the grid, but at the front there's really, really talented drivers and they do not give an inch. So for me it was crucial to get a good getaway.
Alex Keens will be alongside him. Josh Wilby and Ben Taylor will complete the top 10. Now they get underway.
Actually, we made a great start in race 3. As the race drew on, lap 2, 3, I sort of knew that I needed to either go with the group in front or I was going to be in trouble and in danger of being attacked from behind. And then a couple of laps later, I did get fired off onto the grass.
Come on.
Get back on.
Which meant a long detour to rejoin the circuit, more or less back in last place. Having said that, it was another race then where we've got to make something up from the back. I think I made 2-3 places before the end of the race to finish 15th. All in all, I think I demonstrated that it's in there, that I'm quick, or quick enough certainly to compete, but it was a bit of a shame that we didn't get to have the whole race sort of fighting with the front group.
Such a competitive championship. So again, I thank you drivers, teams, give them a round of applause. Ben Taylor!
Directors' Cup, I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked to see how much I eventually won it by. I know it's a decent chunk, 30 odd points I think was the deficit in the end. I stopped looking because I knew Paul wasn't going to be there on the Sunday, so then at that point it didn't probably really matter too much.
Harry Hickson!
In the end, it's been a strong year in that category. Overall, a pretty decent finish, better than my first season last year. I think we finished mid-table in terms of the overall points, which is not a bad showing, all things considered. So very happy with that and decent season's work. The Brands Hatch firework event is probably as well or better attended than most of the British Touring Car race weekends even, and they get big turnouts, 30,000-40,000 people each race weekend. So there's a real buzz about the place. There is something to be said for being part of that. Yes, we don't operate quite on the level of Formula One, but actually when you've got all those people and that fantastic firework display at the end of the day as well, it does really feel like a culmination of a season's effort. A lot of championships were decided on the track that day as well, right across the different categories that we're competing. So it's exciting to be a part of that. It's again back to that childhood dream. You know, you watch a lot of this stuff on TV, and to be able to go there and be part of it and to be a competitor as well as just an attendee is unbelievable. 2024 has been a year of development, I think, for me, both as a driver but also understanding how to deliver the best commercially for my partners as well. Last year was my first year in Mini Challenge, and I knew it was going to be a tough ask to go and compete, and at times that probably did show, if I'm honest. I think this year I've come in knowing what I'm up against, understanding a lot more about the car, how to get the best out of it, knowing the circuits as well is crucial, because last year we raced at places that I hadn't driven a car around before. So to have come and sort of finish consistently midfield top half in really only my second proper year of car racing, I think I'd reflect on that and say, if you'd have asked me 2 years ago, did I think that would have been achievable? I would have said absolutely not. This is really a big undertaking just to get on the grid at all, let alone to be competitive. Next year is still to be confirmed. Probably I'm going to take a step away from minis next season, go and try something else. The aim would be to get back at some point into the touring car paddock, so that would leave us with the next category of minis, JCW, or potentially something wearing a Porsche badge as it stands at the moment. But equally, also want to go and have a look at what else is out there, what else is available. I've got a couple of test drives lined up. I've been out in a car already, which is quite interesting as well. So watch this space, we'll wait and see, but I'll be out in something next year.